his message seemed to me more like, what the American people really need is to see more of me. I need to get out there on the road and just do a better job of explaining how amazing I've been. And it's like, well, I mean, again, going back to Thiessen, his column yesterday read as follows in part: sorry, but you can't boast about your COVID strategy when 55% disapprove it. You can't brag about your economic performance when 60% say it's been dismal. You can't crow about your foreign policy when 55% believe you're doing a terrible job as commander-in-chief. Can't talk about how you've united the country when a 49% plurality say you've done more to divide us. And you can't say you've had a great year in office when 63% say we're on the wrong track. And that same number, about 2/3 of the American public, Charlie, according to, I think it was the latest Suffolk poll, say he shouldn't run for a second term. So, I mean, can you really say it's just a comms problem? What he really needs to do is just be more persuasive about what he's done?
No, it's not a comms problem. And we've talked about this on your show before. The problem is that Joe Biden's behavior as president has been at odds with how Joe Biden ran for president and why the American public hired him to be president. Joe Biden ran as almost the anti-Twitter candidate. He ignored Twitter. The moment that he entered office, he's been driven by Twitter. Joe Biden ran promising honor and moderation and competence and experience, but he allowed himself in the early days to be talked into the idea that he would be transformational. Nobody asked for that. Joe Biden expected until January 5th of last year to preside over divided government with a Republican Senate, a narrow Democratic House, and of course a Democrat himself in the White House. And the moment he got to 50 seats, not 65, not 75, but just 50 seats, he brought out every single agenda item that the Democratic Party has wanted to institute for the last 10 years. This is a profound mistake because the American public, whether it should have or not, wanted a caretaker president. They wanted a president who wasn't Donald Trump and who would return the country to normality after both Trump and COVID and the economic fallout. Biden totally misinterpreted his mandate, and he's still suffering from that. And again, there was no sign yesterday that he is going to change that. And until he changes that, he's going to get the same results.
I was talking to the BBC today, Charlie, back in your old home country, though you're an American now. And I was struck by the questioning because it was very focused on how Trump and the tweets and, Joe Biden has, things have gotten calmer. And isn't that a better thing for America? And they really look at him as not radical, as moderate. And, no president could really bring the country together. It's so divided. And they're very focused on Trump's tweets and so on. And I realized that they were ridiculous. They were terrible and they were absurd. And okay, I get all that. Nobody would dispute that. But they completely miss Joe Biden's radicalism and his divisiveness. And, even lately, his rhetoric's getting even worse. But he still wants us to believe he's the unity president.
Yeah, and I will put Donald Trump in a class of his own. He is unique in every way. But oddly enough, the last week, Joe Biden has been more like Donald Trump than he would like to admit. On policy yesterday, he cast doubt on the legitimacy of elections twice. He was weak on the question of a Russian invasion of Ukraine, also twice. And he snapped at a reporter, Philip Wegman, who asked him about comments that he had made about his voting rights agenda, so-called, which in turn was the product of a speech he gave last week that was frankly outrageous, that was so outrageous that it was condemned by the likes of Mitt Romney, who tend not to raise their voice, tend not to indulge in hyperbole, and also acknowledged by his own party. Dick Durbin said that perhaps Biden had gone too far. He did go too far. What he did was to divide the country up into two groups of people: good people who agree with Joe Biden and bad people, whom he likened to insurrectionists and segregationists, and really some of the worst people from the darkest periods in American history. And that's not what Joe Biden said he was going to do as president. And Mitch McConnell on the Senate floor compared Biden's comments to his inaugural address unfavorably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually have that because worse, Joe Biden tried to deny that he had made that comparison between people who oppose his voting rights bill and the George Wallaces of the world. And it's on camera. It just happened. It's not like it happened 2 years ago. We just heard him say that earlier this week. So here is a soundbite showing his denial and then what he said earlier this week.
You called folks who would oppose those voting bills as being Bull Connor or George Wallace, but you said that they would be sort of in the same camp.
No, I didn't say that. Look what I said. Go back and read what I said and tell me if you think I called anyone who voted on the side of the position taken by Bull Connor that they were Bull Connor. And that is an interesting reading of English. I assume you got into journalism because you like to write.
So I ask every elected official in America, how do you want to be remembered? At consequential moments in history, they present a choice. Do you want to be on the side of Dr. King or George Wallace? Do you want to be on the side of John Lewis or Bull Connor? Do you want to be the side of Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson Davis?
The indignation at having been called out for something he is on camera doing.
And the incoherence. His answer was totally incoherent. He contradicted himself. He rambled. He became angry. Mm-hmm. And all Philip Wegman had done, very politely, it must be said, is ask him a question that accurately characterized his previous remark. Look, we know why one would invoke Jefferson Davis or Bull Connor in a political speech. We know why people invoke Hitler in political speeches or slavery in political speeches. Once you've done it, you can't backpedal and say, well, I didn't mean it literally. It was clearly heard by a good number of Americans, and not all of them Republicans, certainly not all of them involved in politics, as a Manichaean exercise in bullying, an attempt to cast bills that really aren't responding to much as the future of the country. And I think Biden should own that. If you want to engage in that sort of language, own it afterwards. But he's trying to have it both ways. And again, where's the reset?